We are joined now by Walter Scott's mother, Judy Scott, Anthony Scott, his brother, and their lawyer, Chris Stewart. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Mr. Scott, I am so sorry for your loss. You have all our condolences. Please try and tell us when you first heard about this and what you thought when you looked at that tape.
When I looked at that tape, that was the most horrible thing I've ever seen. I am very, very upset concerning it. I almost couldn't look at it. To see my son running defenselessly, being shot, it just tore my heart to pieces. And I pray that this never happened to another person. This has got to stop.
And Anthony, you first heard from your mother that something had gone wrong at this traffic stop. Tell us what happened.
From the look of everything, once I arrived on the scene and I saw all the police tape, I know something had gone wrong at that time. Because for a traffic stop, you don't need police tape and things of that sort. So I knew that everything was wrong. Something had definitely gone wrong.
What did the police tell you?
The police told me that he had died.
Did they give you any more information about what had happened?
That's all they gave me at that time. But I already knew that he had been tasered, but I didn't know that. I thought that's what had actually happened. He'd gotten tasered. And I was thinking that he'd gotten tasered to death. But then my nephew told me that he had died.
And Mr. Scott, what more do you want people to know about your son?
I want them to know from a child, he has been raised in the church. From day one, he sang on the choir, he played the drums, he would call his mom every single day. They never got in trouble. They had a beautiful childhood, and I had no problem.
And Mr. Stewart, the officer, of course, has now been charged with murder. You'll also be pursuing a civil suit?
Yes, we will.
And what will you be seeking?
We're going to be seeking, recovery to the full extent of the law. We can see how disgraceful of an incident this is. His civil rights were directly violated, and we're going to be filing a major civil lawsuit against all the responsible parties from this tragedy.
Thank you all again for your time. Again, we are sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's talk to Dan Abrams right now. And Dan, welcome. Steve Osensami asked the question, no videotape, would we be here today?
Well, look, this tape is devastating evidence, and I don't think there's any question that the tape allowed the authorities to charge him immediately. Meaning, I think the minute they became aware of that tape, it was over, done, charged. If there hadn't been a tape, though, you would still be able to, as the investigation proceeded, see that there were bullet wounds to the back. And that would have been crucial evidence in this case. I mean, typically, you say we give the police officer a sort of benefit of the doubt. They're in tough situations. That reverses effectively when you've got bullets in the back. And then it's the police officer who's got to explain himself.
And the tape is so damning. Can you imagine what a defense might look like? What kind of mitigating circumstances could have happened before the tape that might give him a defense?
Yeah, I mean, look, you've got to believe that this is the kind of case where the defendant is going to go for a manslaughter. I don't think that they're going to have a very effective not guilty claim here. I think they should be pursuing the idea that maybe something happened, he lost it, in effect. Heat of passion is what we call it in the law. And that's the sort of defense I expect to see here, which would be a big difference between murder and manslaughter.
Second possible, complication here, you see in the tape the officer walking up to the body, dropping an object next to it. Could be the taser, we're not sure from the videotape, but it raises all kinds of implications of a possible cover-up.
Oh, and that's going to be sort of phase 2 of this investigation. Phase 1, almost, of the investigative part is done, which is we've looked into this, we saw this tape, we believe it's murder. Now we're going to continue into phase 2, which is going to be, is there a second piece to this? What did the police department know? Who else knew about
so
what happened?
So others could be implicated as well.
Well, yeah, not necessarily in the murder, but certainly if there are allegations of a cover-up. But let's hold off judgment on that for now. But because, this officer is the one, this is the real person to blame for what we see on that tape. If there were others involved, you can count on the fact that there's going to be enormous pressure on this police department to investigate every aspect of this.
And the FBI investigating now as well. Okay, Dan Abrams, thanks very much.